Hello everyone, it's me Shagufta and welcome back to our Python series with me. So in today's video, we talk about file handling. So the first thing that comes in your mind, why we need file handling in Python. So think about that. What if your computer forgot everything for a moment, like when it's turned off? So you become so much depressed and disappointed. So, let us take a simple example to understand your concept. Imagine a student write marks or a code in whiteboard. Once erased, everything is gone. But if a student write them in a register, they stay safe forever. That difference between Python without file handling and with file handling. Like file handling give you like a safe method, like it save your program permanently, just like the register. So first we see the terms of file handling. So how can we do file handling? Okay, so here you can see that I write about everything that we need in file handling. Like simply we use W to write a mode or to write something in your file so that it can save it. So for the writing purpose, we use W, like create a new file if it not exist, or like if I have some file and I have save it, but like next day or next time you remember that I have to write something else for that. So for this, we also use W function to write or add on the text file. Okay. And on the next thing that we go is R. It's a read mode. Open the file for the reading. Okay. Because when we use W, it only write. It not only give you the read function. You have to recall the read function to read that. Okay. So whenever you have a file, you have write something, you have to call a read function in your Python handling, file handling, so you can read the file. Okay, like the append you use in our previous so many videos, we do append like we have to change something or we have to write something else. For this, we have to use add, like add new data at the end of the file. Old data is not removed because it add on the next side, like the next line. So for this we use append function, and whenever you have to append, now it's another time you have to see it that these changes can be happen in our file, or the line that I want to add on the file, is it occur or not. For this you, or you like, you have to call read function to cross check it. Okay. And whenever you have in the first time, in the second time you have to recall it, here you use with, using with, because it's a great practice. So I think so I can clear you easily how we use, like simply in the file handling, most of the thing is that write, read and append function. And the other thing that I have to tell you is the use of an open file or a close file. Okay. Like simply I am saying writing a file. Okay. For this, we have to call a variable. I have to call a variable file. And the next thing that you have to remember is you have to open a file. Okay. So for this, you first write open. And then here you have to write something about the file name, whatever you have to want. But if you have to write some text, you have to write at the last some text. As I have to explain you a scenario about the student, that's why I have, like it's all up to you. I have save a file called student.txt inverted commas. Okay. And then what I do is that I have to write something. So also you have to code W with double quotes and then close. Okay. So now what you have to write it, you have to write it on the next line. And here you have to call a variable file dot, I have to write it. So the write function. And then whatever you have to write it, you can write in that point. Okay. So like let's suppose I have said that hello, this is my file handling. Okay. This is my file. Okay. And now the next thing that you have to remember, whenever you have to open a file, the programmer must have to do to close a file, because it's like a logical, or it's a great manner for the file handling. So what we have to do is to close a file closed. Okay. So whenever I have run this program, so you see there's nothing happens in the program. Okay. So like you see, I make a file and I have to write it. But the next thing is that I have to see it. I have to read it what I like what I write in my program. So for this we have to use a read function to recall to for the reading. So for the reading purpose, like here I comment it like I write it writing like reading file. Okay. So here first we do is like simply we have to use the same line. I have to copy it and then I have to paste it. And here the thing that you have to change is W by R. Like here above case we use W for writing, but in the below we use R. And then I make a another variable called content equal to file dot read inverted. Okay. And remember one thing in file handling you must do to close a file. Like here you I use file dot close. Okay. And now the next thing that I have to see it so that print content. Okay. For the readability. Okay. So you see how easily I can print it. Okay, so this is the one file. Can I recall the file in the next thing? Yeah, we can do it. Like simply, if I have to open a next tab, like let's suppose I have to open a next file, and here I use the same function that I do in the last. Like I have to add something to use append function. So for this, I use like here I use append the file. Okay. First, I have to call a file and first I have to open. And the same thing that I do is, sorry, okay. And is the W here I use A, okay. And in the append function, I have to write something now. So here we also use like file dot write. So remember one thing, okay. So here we use write and in inverted commas I use slash n. As you know in Python we use slash n for the next line because I have to write this line, this sentence in the next line of the my program. That's why I adding this. And here I write like adding a line. Okay, like whatever you have to write if you want. Okay, dot full stop. Okay, inverted commas. And then remember one thing, file close. Okay. So when I will run, there is nothing result happen because I have appending it. Okay. So now what we do is that I want to read what I append. So for this, I recall another time. So for this, like I have to read this. Okay. So in this case, if you it's a great practice. You use with function, like you have to recall it. So where here I use like with file with open, okay, sorry, with open, what you want to open is the same thing like student dot txt, okay, and then comma, and then I have to you what I want to is I have to read it, okay, as file because this is the file for us. And the colon sign when you are using with you have to use with. And what I want to print is file dot read. Okay. So whenever I run this program, so you see, hello, this is my file. And the next thing that I have adding is adding a line. So you see here, like I do in the next line, like in the next part, or like in different file, I have to call I have to make a file and I have enter something and I have read it. And in the next line, like if I have to close it, nothing happens. Okay, so the same thing that whenever I have to call the student.txt at like 2 days, 5 days, and whenever you have want to add something, you have to call your file name, and then whatever you want you have to do changing, so you can easily do in Python. So file handling is very important in Python, and it makes our programmer much easier. So we don't even need to like every day you have to save a file or do like if it's the same file and you have to do some mini changes, so you can easily do it. So this is all for the today videos, so stay tuned.